Please rise for invocation by Chaplain A. Ray Campbell of the Florida Hospital at New Smyrna, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Chaplain.
Let us pray. O Lord our God, we begin this official business for this day and this place by praising you for sustaining our presence. We remember facing situations that we were certain we could not face, and having to face them we could not survive. Yet by your providence, we were able to overcome. So as we continue throughout this day, we want to praise you for sustaining us. I want to thank you for all that you have made possible. We praise you for your sovereign reminder of who you are. You are everything to us, even when we were going through pain or facing disaster, you made a way. So we confess, Lord, that all of our problems in our community, in our homes, are quite often something that we forget to tell you about. And so we are guilty of trying to be self-sufficient. But we know that you are a good God, and we praise you and thank you for all of the abilities and troubles that we have been overcome. Thank you for blessing this mayor and these council members for all that they do for this community. We may be frustrated from time to time by injustices that we cannot address, but remind us, O God, of the brevity of life. Remind us of the coming judgment of its reality, its certainty, its inevitability, its finality. When we're tempted to be selfish and indifferent in our work, remind us of the responsibility that you have given not only to this mayor and to this council, but to all of us, to listen to one another, to learn from each other, to reflect and to pray and legislate and obey. When we are tempted to let pride take over, remind us we didn't do anything all by ourselves. So it is for your glory, O God, that we pray your blessings upon this meeting, and that you let all that we do and all that we say be to your honor and to your glory. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Chaplain. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Foley?
Here.
Councilman Grubbs?
Here.
Councilman Bastian?
Here.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Here.
Mayor Burnett?
Here. All five of us are here. We're present. We have a full quorum for this evening. We can conduct business. Do we have any public comments on anything that's on consent? I'm looking Robert's way, and I don't see anybody else, so we will move on to agenda approval. May I have a motion to approve the agenda for the evening with the removal of item 9 from consent?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion, proper second, to approve the agenda for the evening, removing item 9 from consent. May I have a motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda for the evening is approved. With that, items 6 through 8 on consent, I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion, proper second, items 6 through 8 on consent. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes. 5-0. Consent agenda is approved. Item 9, retirement of K9 Nico and transfer of ownership to Officer Jared Alivisatos. Did I say it right?
Yes. You got that pretty darn good, Mayor.
I didn't even practice. That's okay.
Bring 'em up, Mayor.
Wayne, who do we have presenting on this one?
Police Chief Manny Marino.
Come on down, Jared.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, city staff, and guests. I'm waiting for my counterpart over here to make his way. So the item before you tonight is to, as mentioned, we will be retiring K9 Nico and be transferring his care and ownership to his handler for the past 8 years, Officer Jared Alivisatos. Nico's 10 years old. We knew this day was coming, but it unfortunately came up a little bit faster with some health issues that came up in the last few months. He had an unexpected surgery realized that his vision on his last vet exam was having some issues with his vision, and with most shepherds, issues with his hips. So we said this was the best time. He's given his best years to us, and it's time to let him live out the rest of his best years with Officer Alivisatos.
Perfect.
I really appreciate the opportunity that I've gotten to have with the police department, and Nico's been a vital asset to the police department. He's been a community member the entire time. One thing that we've tried to do religiously is interact with the community. The children that named him originally, I've actually been fortunate enough to follow them, and they've seen him driving around. They've asked how he is. Most of them are finishing up middle school now, so it's been an absolute pleasure to work with Nico, work with the adjacent cities, and have this amazing reputation with him. And very happy that he gets to live out
Awesome.
his good days with me.
There's also something to be said for his handler as well, because that relationship between K9 and the handler is symbiotic. It goes both ways. And having talked about this before, the experience of being able to ride with both of you for a shift and see both of you in action together, it's incredible. It's amazing being able to sit there and watch how he's passive and quiet, and then as soon as you get out of the car and walk up to and approach a vehicle, all of a sudden he's alert. You don't have to tell him, you don't have to coach him, you don't have to coax him. He knows what you're doing, and he knows where you're at all times.
Yes.
And that was just absolutely incredible to see. And what I would like to do is request council join me below, because we need to take a picture congratulating Nico on his service, and his handler for doing such a wonderful job with him as well. I look
Right.
forward to more of that from you.
Thank you.
Council?
He ain't retiring from playtime.
You always end up on that picture side. I don't need it. Do the back of it.
This way, buddy. Come on, big guy.
He's even got the I've been around a little bit gray in his beard.
He does.
It happens to all of us.
Most of it's been caused by me.
Would everybody join me in a round of applause for Nico?
Don't want to play more?
So, officer, a question. What is, could you share, like, what is his specialty?
His specialty was tracking
Okay.
in narcotics and evidence recovery.
Awesome.
So, over the years, I took a rough count. I think he was involved in approximately 400 to 500 drug sniffs in his career.
Outstanding.
Evidence recovery, he was fortunate enough, he's recovered a decent amount of evidence for cases. His money seizures, I took a rough count, he seized almost $90,000 over his career.
Wow, okay.
So,
Anybody who ever questions why we should have a canine on this department, you just answered that, just in 60 seconds.
thank you.
And it's that and so much more. It really is.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and like I said, the canine program at Port Orange, we maintain it to be as top tier as we can, and we want the citizens of the community to know that we have full protection of them. We strive to continue to evolve with any case changes that come in, new training that comes in. We were fortunate enough to change over to a program that allows us to recover missing children, missing elderly, and it's been a great asset for us. So moving forward, we're going to continue to be top tier as we can.
Amen. Ever involved in taking down a criminal?
So-
Was he not a chase dog? He
He-
did the drug thing, or?
So the initial portion of his life, he was an apprehension dog.
Okay.
Then we transitioned away from that, which was fine. When he was an apprehension dog, he did apprehend 2 people. One who was actually in a fist fight with me on the side of International Speedway, so he
Okay.
actually saved me from getting my butt kicked like usual. And the other one was just an escaped felon, so he located him for that agency.
So Mayor will be at a later date, coming back to introduce Jared's new partner, Canine Mila, who is now certified, and Jared's getting her up to speed really quickly. Beautiful, she's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful dog.
Sounds like I've got cause to do another ride-along. Something I'd suggest.
And we'll keep it interesting.
Could you get him to say
Yeah, you
something
always
for
do.
us?
Yeah.
Little bark.
Come here.
Could we get a bark?
Well, you can get a lot if you take some away from
Yeah.
Get a whole temper tantrum.
Yeah, here. Here.
It's like, didn't you just hear him
Okay,
retire?
we'll take it. We'll take it.
All right, everyone, one more time for Nico.
Thank you.
I told him fight the man. Ah, that was great.
Speaking of item 9, may I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve item 9, retirement of K9 Nico and transfer of ownership to Officer Jared Olivasatos.
I will happily second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is so moved and accepted. Appreciate that. Public participation, non-agenda. Do I have any cards? That would be a yes. Okay. Who's this guy, Jordan Snipes? He thinks he cleans up pretty good. Come on up here, Jordan.
Can't recognize it.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Councilman. My name is Jordan Snipes. I'm the founder of Tomorrow Needs You. It's a local nonprofit supporting veterans and first responders. As a veteran myself with nearly 9 years in the Army, our mission is to provide unwavering support to our first responders and our veterans for mental wellness, helping them overcome challenges and heal from trauma. We've now started to be able to offer counseling to our local heroes and first responders, and we have also a few events coming up that I'd like to talk about. On June 8th, from 5 p.m. to 7:30 at the Port Orange Eagles, we'll be having a charity dinner that's open to the public. On July 20th, we have a couple spots left. If any of the local fire departments or police departments would like to send personnel, we have a mental health symposium down in Miami that we went ahead and purchased 6 tickets for first responders and veterans to go. And we also have our annual 22-mile walk, which I've been talking about for the past couple weeks. That'll be September 21st, and we actually got it approved that we're going to be starting at the River Walk in Port Orange. We'll be doing 11 miles, and we'll go down to Edgewater, turn around, come back. People that walk do not have to do the entire 22 miles. If they only want to do a mile or two, they're more than welcome, and we will have an escort to bring them back if they only do a couple miles. If anyone wants any information on that, they can scan the QR code, or I will be here the entire night, so if they want to see me afterwards, they can have any questions or anything like that.
Excellent.
All right. Looking
Yes.
forward to it.
Thanks, Jordan.
Jordan?
Hey, Jordan, have you shared that on social media? Could we, like,
Yes, sir.
is it shareable for me and others to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, I'll look for that on your.
Thanks, Jordan. Sir.
Yes, sir.
And with that, move on to council comments. Why don't we start with Drew this time?
I got nothing tonight, Mayor.
Excellent, excellent report. Scott, you got anything
Good.
for us tonight?
Pass.
Really?
Yeah.
So nothing from
Not bad.
either of you, okay. Well, we'll move this way. Reed?
I've got nothing for you.
Tracy?
Tracy always
on,
has
Tracy.
something.
Bring it on, man.
I got stuff.
Okay.
Thank goodness, okay.
So we had a slight report that came out to all the council, and it's a highlight of what happens inside the city and things of that nature. And I just want to bullet point a few things here. in my 1 year in side council with you guys, it's always come up to me multiple times of what has the city done. Big question, right? The question I have is, where's the information? The information gets disseminated out on social media and different streams, and it kind of gets lost, and then people don't know what the city has actually done for its citizens. And it's kind of concerning because there's a huge list. And I'm just going to touch on the highlights. One of the big highlights coming into utilities, 3 new lift stations under construction. That's a big one. But going back into that, having a 20-year consumptive use permit that we've talked about several times also. Community development, 10,000 feet of linear sidewalk repairs, 6,000 linear feet and 2,500 linear feet by month of stormwater ditches and maintenance. And a lot of people will go, well, that's supposed to be going on. Yep, it is. But how much of it is actually going on that you don't really realize? It's a ton. 20,000 linear feet of stormwater pipe in the last year. Now, pipe underground being lined and things of that nature, that's just shy of being, you know, right at 4 miles of piping laying underground. It's pretty unique. Engineering, repaving, thank God, Town West. Thank you. Madeline, Willow Run. These paving projects are major projects that have been neglected and have come fruition in full force. And I go on and on with this. I'm not going to talk on parks and events because we're going to talk about that here a little later on the second reading. I want to hold that one. Public safety, police department, recruiting, accreditation of 20 years. Again, having that accreditation redone. 9 license plates readers, and a lot of people think that's minor. It's not. That's expense and budgets and everything else to be able to keep citizens safe with people patrolling around that shouldn't be on the roads. 19 new officers. A year ago, I was being blasted with emails of going, why is the department down with people? 19 new officers. Chief, good luck. More people, more fun. Right? 25. Awesome. So we have all these things, and I can't not go through this list without smiling. I mean, it's 5 pages of love in my mind of having to see what the staff does for the city that people don't give credit back to. And again, I praise the ladies and gentlemen that are there, the financial side, John McKinney's team. All of y'all have done a great job with the new Tyler system coming online. And a lot of people don't understand what a new computer system does, but it's a savings of over $400,000 a year to the city. That's substantial. All these little things add up. I had a meeting with Wayne yesterday, and one of the things I asked him is, what's next? How can we go and look for other things for savings inside the city? It's what I do as a business owner. Not to say that I treat the city as a business, but that's how we save money so we can take care of property taxes as we move forward, that we can keep our property taxes as low as possible with the amenities that we give our citizens. So that's what I want to say. Thank you. Thank you all for doing your jobs very, very well.
With that, I guess that brings it to me. I wanted to call to attention, everybody knows that this is Memorial Day weekend, and Monday being Memorial Day, the 27th, 10 a.m., we do this every year. It's a very solemn occasion to have the Memorial Day event in, just across at Memorial Park here, just across from City Hall. We usually have a couple hundred people attend. I would invite anybody and everybody, please come to attend that event Monday morning. We're expecting fantastic weather. The Chamber of Commerce has promised it. But if you've never experienced the Memorial Day ceremony, the VFW 3282 that puts it on, and with a lot of help from the Knights of Columbus and several other groups, does a fantastic job with that. And It's not long, but it's absolutely worth it when you think about the people who have served this country from its very beginning to now, that we really give them just one day out of the year. I'm asking for you to give 45 minutes out of the year just to think about it. And it's so worth it. It is a terrific event, and I think it's shady for everybody who participates and comes, except for the speakers. We sit in the middle directly in the sun, but that's okay. It's worth it. Right down to taps and the 21-gun salute that closes it out. I would encourage everybody to come, and what I would love is for, instead of seeing a couple hundred people, to see a couple thousand people there. It doesn't matter. We'd figure it out. Bring it on. Love to see you all there. That's Monday at 10 a.m. right here at City Center, and if you want more information, visit the Facebook page of Port Orange City Hall tomorrow, and we'll have that up and ready for you to see. Love to see you there. The other thing I wanted to do is just give a nod to Debbie Phillips, who's here from Congressman Corey Mills' office, sitting here in the audience. Debbie, thank you for coming and being here, and I appreciate the congressman as well and his ability to represent. It is wonderful to have our United States Congressman's office right here in Port Orange City Hall, where it's easily accessible for all. With that, let's go to board appointments, interviews, and reports. Citizens Advisory Committee for the TPO. Mr. Bobby Ball.
Bobby Ball with the CAC for the TPO. We had our monthly meeting and some normal approvals of different variations and changes to the TIP, but what I really wanted to point out was you typically ask me for an update on I-95, try to give it every quarter. I asked about it today, and apparently the district secretary is going to present to the TPO tomorrow with some more details about it. But the highlights are the St. John's permit was issued, the Army Corps is pending a response, the DOT has responded to the REI, and construction funding is approved back in April or August. So with that, I think the only other thing is I think you guys are aware of the cleaning of the ditch or the Nova Canal.
Yep.
There's also a resurfacing effort that's going to start this month along Dunn Avenue, Dunlawton. So some of the lanes, not all the lanes, just some of the lanes. So
Maintenance.
that's it. Yep.
Bring it on.
Any idea if that's nighttime work?
I didn't ask. It
Okay.
was just in the report.
Okay.
Okay.
Bobby, when you bring a report like that, I feel like I could skip the meeting tomorrow.
I see our staff is saying yes. Thank you.
Yeah, not so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Just wanted to note that that I-95 interchange is something that would take a lot of non-local traffic off of Williamson here in Port Orange and reduce traffic by as much as 8 to 10% at peak times. I think that that's a wonderful thing. If it's built right and designed right, it'll be a wonderful project and a great benefit to us, even though it might not be a lot of our residents who use it. It will give us an awful lot of relief where it's needed most. So appreciate you keeping us up to date on that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby.
The public hearing portion of our meeting is now open. We have item 12, second reading of ordinance number 2024-04. Ordinance number 2024-04 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending the City of Port Orange Comprehensive Plan in its entirety pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes, providing for adoption of the City of Port Orange Comprehensive Plan 2022 to 2045, including amendments to the future land use element, transportation element, the housing element, the public facilities element, the public school facilities element, the recreation and open space element, the coastal zone management element, the conservation element, the intergovernmental coordination element, the capital improvements element, and the property rights element, inclusive of all associated tables, exhibits, and maps, providing for the repeal of ordinances inconsistent with the ordinance, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, providing for transmittal to reviewing agencies, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-04.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. We have second reading. Comments, questions, council?
No, this one, not on second reading. Good.
Looks like we hashed through that. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Final comments? With that, call the roll.
Councilman Foley,
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. That brings us to the second reading of ordinance 2024-05.
An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending the City of Port Orange Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14-27, to modify the currently adopted International Property Maintenance Code as further provided herein with general and technical amendments, deletions and revisions, providing for protection of copyright, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for codification, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to,
Go for it. I was going to ask you.
Go ahead.
move to approve ordinance number 2024-05.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Council comments or questions? There being none, would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, council, final comments or questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Foley,
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. That brings us to item 14, second reading of ordinance number 2024-07, the Parks and Rec bond. Ordinance number 2024-07 is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Port Orange, Florida, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds of the City of Port Orange, Florida, in the aggregate amount not to exceed $30 million for the purpose of financing the design, construction, renovation, expansion, and improvement of public parks and recreation facilities related infrastructure located in the City of Port Orange, subject to approval at a referendum herein called, providing for calling a bond election of the qualified electors residing in the city to be held on August 20th of 2024 on the question of the issuance of such general obligation bonds, providing for severability, providing for a repealing clause, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-07.
Second.
So who do I give it to? I'm gonna give,
Foley.
you know what, I'll give this one to Foley because I know that you're gonna have some comments here. So. Second, by Councilman Foley. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Tracy, you alluded to the fact that you had some comments on this one.
I do. So after the last meeting, went back, digest, try to get some research so we could talk about numbers. When a bond comes up, you always want to know where's the money going, why are we looking for money, how's the money going to be used. So the first thing is always, like Councilman Foley and I talked about last time, was dealing with the expense of it and how that affects people. Happy to say with Parks and Recreation, their website went live. It's available for all the citizens to go online. You literally just type in your address and it's there. It will tell you what it is. But I want to make sure everybody understands that when you do it, that's for the full amount. There's no way to go, okay, if we only use half the bond, what would that price be? It'd be half the price, but it's for the full 30 million. That's what you're looking at when you're seeing that. So just don't look at it and go, well, is it going to increase? It's not. It's the full price tag if they use all the money. And I know we did fire and police stations before, and we had the bond that went out there, and they didn't use the full amount. And everybody looks at that, and they always get a little gun shy with it. But it wasn't the money side of it. I know that's what everybody is worried about. I'm worried about it too. So I typed in my address. Now, I am a longtime citizen, so my millage rate's a little different than most people. I typed in my address. It's, for the full amount, $34 a year is what the increase was for my millage rate. And I was like, okay, well, let's pick a business. Well, Parks and Recreation, I would think that let's pick a business that probably uses Parks and Recreation because of the kids. So I picked Ritter's. Typed in. It's a business. It's $188 for the year for the business. And that's just two examples. I'm going to tell everybody, you need to go and look at your property taxes, and that way you know for sure what it would be if it was the full 30 million. If I can do it on the website, anybody can do it. It's simplistic. It's on the main page, front and center, but also inside there is a frequently asked questions list, things that people have already brought up. And then if you don't see it there, go into the bottom section of the main page is the concepts. One of the things we got hit with last time was dealing with, well, you're building new parks. Yes, we are. What are you doing with old parks? Well, a lot of the initiative for the bond is repairing and redoing and updating a lot of old parks. So make sure you look at it to see the full scope. And then I have to get Miss Susan up here a little bit to ask some questions. She's hiding. She probably doesn't want to talk to me. We had some lengthy conversations on this. And I want to make sure that the data that she gave me, I want to just have it, that it's not just Tracy saying it, it's the head of Parks and Recreation. Some of the data that was given to me was dealing with youth baseball, youth soccer, youth tennis, and youth basketball. And the data is kind of unique. Now, and I want to make sure people understand this. We're talking from 2019 to today, the increases. And the increases ranges from the low side being soccer, 16% increase in the sporting events, to tennis being 37% increase of individuals showing up. But the fun one that she gave me was the Rex attendance number sheet. This was just in the last 5 months. And Susan, I know you're getting there. Can you tell me that total number for the last 5 months, how many participants was on that sheet?
Total check-ins was 43,226.
43,000 kids. So when somebody makes the phone calls and starts sending emails out to anybody up here at the council and they go, is Parks and Recreation being used? 43,000 kids said yes during that 5-month period. 43,000 people showing up, adults
too.
and kids utilizing this. As our conversation went, I was like, okay, that's way beyond what I thought. Then I dug a little deeper with her and her team today and asked the next big question is, of the sports, is it not 3/4 of all of our sports are slap full?
They are.
And they have waiting lists.
We do.
Okay. We have waiting lists. Waiting lists for sportings. It's because we don't have enough fields. So when people are asking, why do we need this? Well, demand is showing. Now, this is the demand and the population that we have, the 65,000 people in Port Orange right now. I want to make sure everybody understands Daytona doesn't give us permission on whether or not the Williamson area is being built that has approval of over 10,000 homes. That is right butt up against us in Port Orange. 10,000 homes at 2.5 people per household, you know. It's a lot of people. Now, they're not going to go to Daytona when they can come right here to Parks and Recreation. Karasi Park is 2 miles from where they're going to be building these homes at. We're going to have an influx of another 25,000 people. That's not our residents, but they're going to use our parks. It's another concern. A lot of things come to our Parks and Recreation by different grants. The ECO grants pay for this also. Those ECO grants is from homeowners building in the Daytona property. So they have all the same rights as everybody else to come to Daytona to play sports. If we already have an increase and we already have a backlog, and we're fixing to put another 25,000 people just on our outskirts of our city, Parks and Recreation is going to be overloaded. We're already having in a 4 to 5 year period 20 to 30% increase. And we're talking in a 2-year period having another 25,000 people more than likely in our outskirts residents coming in. They're going to be playing sports too, adults and whatnot. The one that got me today though, I'm going to challenge y'all for this one because she challenged me with this question, is the summer camp programs. What we do with our kids at elementary level and middle school level. The summer camp program went live, and Mayor, How fast do you think it filled?
Probably, and based on my own experience with getting my own kids into the program, it doesn't take very long.
Yeah, so I said 4 days. Me and my wife kind of agreed with 4 days. I thought that was fast. I was wrong. Got it down to 4 hours. And then Susan delivers the message, 4 minutes. They flipped the switch, and in 4 minutes, the summer camp was full.
Good.
Wow. So when somebody asks me, why do we have a bond initiative coming up? It's needed. Y'all are asking, I'm telling you, go online, please look at the actual frequently asked questions section. Look at how easy it is for you to go and do it. Come and ask questions, please, because it's beyond a percentage of 20 and 30% now. And as more people coming into our area, it's going to only increase. The other conversation I had with Susan was dealing with, if we don't do this, the maintenance uptake for our fields is going to be exponential. Can you explain that one a little better than what I said?
Yeah, so currently, as you all know, as we play on our fields.
Who are you again?
I'm Susan Vollen, Parks and Recreation
Thank you.
Director. Thought I already went that. Maybe I didn't skip that part. So anyway, so basically what you're seeing is we're starting to rehab our fields now. We're starting to resod them. If we don't have the opportunity to rest our fields, especially during the growing season, during the summer times, that is more of a reality. There's many cities in the state of Florida that actually replant their fields every year, which is very costly. We've been very fortunate in here. We're getting ready to resod City Center. That sod's been down for 30 years. It's really probably 15 years too long because anybody knows anything about grass, which I didn't, but I'm getting very good at knowing how it grows. It does break down. The Bermuda does break down, and then it doesn't become true Bermuda. But the guys do a great job. They keep it up. We do the best we can, but as we get more and more play and we start playing multiple different sports on certain fields, that becomes a much greater impact to our maintenance.
So I'm gonna leave that to y'all because I was enlightened. It's digging and finding the questions because we're all going to be having these questions given to us. Why do I have this bill? Why do I need a vote for this? And ultimately,
Bottom line is, what are you getting for the money?
what are you getting for the money? And having Crossy expanded, and then the west side that we talked about for rec centers, it's needed. So
It occurs to me that Councilman Grubbs has yet to be on the dais when there's standing room only in the chambers and in the hallway and out into the parking lot with parents who couldn't get kids into field sports and not having enough sports. It's not lost on the rest of us, though.
No.
This is long overdue, incredibly needed, and you know, with every amenity there's a cost, but this cost for what you get is an incredible value for the future of our city, and not only the residents that exist in the city today, but one of the benefits of doing it this way is those who are coming to Port Orange later will have the opportunity to pay their fair share as well, which is a great way to do this in a valued sense that spreads that cost amongst all of the users and all of the investors, not only investors that we have in our city today, but the investors that we're going to have in our city tomorrow. And he brings up a point that is often overlooked, is that we provide almost a regional benefit. And some like that and some don't like that. And you know, for the time that we can do that, we will continue to do that. But it will, at some point, you know, if we cannot do something like this, that's going to have to get restricted, and that's going to have to get looked upon, and that's going to be not a great day for anybody in Port Orange or the region of this part of the county. So, good comments.
Well, we talk about why to do it, who it's going to serve. I mean, we've already, and I've said this a million times before, 5,000 people playing field sports in Port Orange of the 16 municipalities. And that's people of any and all ages. That's more than twice our closest, I guess you could use the word competitor. Not really competing, but I mean, it's the second closest city. That's more than twice
Right.
that number. So it speaks to the need. And there are ancillary benefits as well. We talked about, we're gonna be paying money in maintenance, that'd be coming out of ad valorem taxes. And we're gonna save that, but every time somebody says, well, we don't like, see the property built with more homes and this or that or whatever, we need to, all the times on this dais that whenever something has come to us, we've always tried to reduce the density, and I think we've been successful to a certain degree. There are a lot of times these things don't ever come before us. They're built to law, they're built the way it is. The only way you stop that and make sure that you have land in preservation is to own it. And this gives us an opportunity to acquire some land, preserve it. Park space becomes preservation space as well. And instead of building on that more homes, we have a place where I don't care whether you're age 8 or you're age 80, you can go and enjoy it. So that's the goal here. So the obvious benefits of service, there are a lot of ancillary benefits as well.
One of the things that you said, and I kind of left it off, was owning the land for the city of Port Orange for parks. So one of the things Susan told me today was dealing with the school system. And I'm not dissing the school system and the school board, so I know I'll have emails coming out the wazoo from this one. But the school system, because of security, we used to share parks inside the school system. And because of security, they've gated it off, closed it off, so we have lost ball fields that used to be available for parks and recreation. So when somebody goes, why don't we have as many ball fields before where we are now, it's because of that. And
part of the
and
day
I know
and
you
age
can
we
say
live in.
it better than what I just did.
Yep.
So you talk about that, how that relationship works, and where we are and what the future may look like.
Sure. So,
Before,
sorry.
I was going to say, before I go to the public, were there any other questions of staff? Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I think he was asking me about the schools.
I've got a question whenever, but
Okay.
don't need to be in a hurry.
Like Councilman Grubb said, the schools, when I first came here, we had a lot of relations with the schools, and then, probably your kids remember playing probably at Sugar Mill and Spruce Creek Elementary.
Yep.
Portables came in, right? Schools started getting crowded, portables started going onto our sports fields that we had on the property. And then he spoke to the most recent changes we're seeing is due to school security, and we all agree. That is very, very important, and understand why they have to do what they have to do. But it did change the way and what we have to offer our citizens as far as parkland is considered. So.
Reed, what question did you have?
I just thinking about long term, right? Obviously, this bond builds it, but then we have to maintain it. What council, as I understand, for decades has had a policy of what to charge for fees for these sports and what the recoup has been, and what is that percentage currently, roughly?
We've been asked to use the guideline of 30% of the total cost to revenue
Okay.
for the department.
Because I will say this, I mean, I support this bond. I'm going to vote yes here, obviously. I think hindsight's always 20/20. You didn't know schools were going to tighten down on security. Maybe didn't know how many people were going to flock to our sports and our programs that we have for people of all ages. People younger than 8 and people older than 80. But I do think that there's going to have to be a serious conversation up here, probably amongst future councils. I don't know that it'll matter in the time frame that Don and Drew are still here, but what that recoupment percentage needs to be from a percentage point of cost, because I love the parks that are coming. The rec center has proven to be a huge success. We obviously need one on the west side. I can go on and on, which we've already done. There is a maintenance aspect to this, and I don't want, I think the key to getting this passed when it goes to the ballot is going to be fully transparently telling our citizens the absolute truth and making sure we're not hiding anything at all. And there is a huge maintenance component with this. And so I think that's something we have to be ready to look at, is what those recoupments are going to be for programs, what those prices are going to be for people who actually participate in the program. But I mean, as far as the bond itself and the things we have an opportunity in front of us to do, when you can't acquire land every day.
You know, you can't put these kind of projects together every day. This is a really, really exciting opportunity. So, but there's just another component of it that doesn't, something we have to be thinking about as we move forward.
Yep, and we actually started those conversations last week on fees and the percentages and looking at that. We plan on bringing something back to council in the fall for an October 1 start, as we do every year on our fees, but being able to show what that looks like on the cost recovery.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay.
I just want to comment that I think as this moves forward and as the message and what this brings to the community and how the value increases the community, that it's really important that while our hearts, we will think a lot, people will recognize this a lot of the times and associate it with kids. But the one thing about Port Orange, and if you haven't seen it, you're just not looking, is this isn't all about kids. I mean, our hearts are with it because we want kids to have places and spaces and all of that stuff, and we are going to do that one way or the other. But in our city, this is an incredibly, overwhelmingly active community, and they need spaces to be active. We hear it nonstop. We've heard it nonstop. They become active in places that aren't designed to be active. I mean, you go to the pavilion and there are people who are just walking the pavilion because it provides a place to walk, right? So I just think it's really important that everyone understands this is not just about building a baseball field or soccer field or whatever for 8-year-olds. This is about having multifunctional facilities and space, and that needs to be kept very much in the forefront, because there is something in this for every single resident in Port Orange.
Every
single
location.
resident. That's right,
Yeah.
and it will be spread across the entire municipality and all of our boundaries. And so
yet, there'll still only be one Susan.
there still will only be one Susan.
I have great people.
Anyway, I just think that's really important to make sure that is clear in the message. Because, you know, while this has been a process ongoing for quite some time, and we know a lot of the details and a lot of the thought and a lot of the vision here, it's hard to grasp all of that very quickly to make that decision. But the broad sense of that's what this is. This is an investment for our community, for everybody in this community.
All right, let's go to the public. Would anyone here care to speak to the item, Susan? Come on up, Barry.
Good evening, everyone. Barry P-Tech, 5648 Bald Eagle Drive, Port Orange. It's great to see the enthusiasm and joy that is showing with this movement forward on the bond. Where I'm coming from is, and you may have addressed some of this, I'm sure you have, is how are we going to be promoting it and advertising it and selling it? Because when people go to, you know, to the ballot box and they see an increase, what does that increase do for me or take away from me or give me? So I think it's incumbent upon us to be as creative, as resourceful, and as progressive as we can be in selling this job. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Twice in one night. I was thinking the same thing.
It's really.
And who are you, sir?
And Bobby Ball with 5960 Kendrew. I don't usually come up here as a resident very often, so you get I get the privilege to do that tonight. I'll be quick. I've been a resident here for 44 years. I grew up playing on these sports fields. My kids have grown up playing on these sports fields, and I think it's been a priority. I've been on the Parks and Rec board now for a number of years, and I think it's been a priority for us. And I am super excited that you guys are putting this forward, and at the potential that it brings for my kids' kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Who else we got? Seeing no one else, back to council. Final comments. Looking this way. Looking that way. I see none. On second reading of ordinance number 2024-07, call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. And I do appreciate the fact that even though that we just finished our work up here at second reading, the work in getting the word out is only just beginning. It is terrific to see this council continue its commitment to a high-quality community, one that takes care of its residents, giving the residents the choice what kind of high-quality community that they want to have, knowing that this is one of the ways that we preserve the value of our community, you know, and AKA the value of our homes and the cost and our ability to maintain the value prospect of what is Port Orange. Thank you, everybody. With that, first reading of ordinance number 2024-08, Seventh Amendment to the Clark Professional Center and Wedding Chapel Plan Commercial Development and Master Development Agreement. Ordinance number 2024-08 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the Seventh Amendment to the Clark Professional Center and Wedding Chapel Plan Commercial Development Master Agreement and Conceptual Development Plan, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-08.
Second.
Item is open and on the floor for discussion. Who do we have here, Wayne?
Good evening, Penelope Cruz Planning. So as you might recall, there was an amendment that came forward to the council about a year or so ago for this same property and for some other adjacent properties in this PCD. This particular amendment is only applied to the area you see highlighted in pink there on the left at 5120 Riverside Drive. That prior amendment, about a year or so ago, the Sixth Amendment, it authorized the prior existing single-family home that was on the property to be developed, to be converted into a bed and breakfast. As they got in there, started doing the work, they realized it was not financially feasible to convert that house because of all the ADA requirements that were necessary. It was a very old house. So that house has since been demolished. The site sits vacant. And this Seventh Amendment continues that idea of doing a bed and breakfast on the property, but lays the framework to do that in a kind of unique small cottage concept rather than one single building with a common building where people can get food, like you would typically get a bed and breakfast, common parking facility here, as well as connections, pedestrian connections to the rest of the PCD, where there are opportunities for other uses and additional shared parking as well. So that's what this amendment is all about. It's just taking that existing use that's already allowed on the property, but setting up the framework to do it in smaller cottages rather than one structure. This has been reviewed by the Staff Development Review Committee, Planning Commission, and staff are all recommending approval. And the applicant's here to answer any questions you might have as well.
Okay. Questions of staff? Council? None? Ready to go to the public already? Let's do it.
I think it's a great project. It's a fabulous use of the property. I think we're all familiar with this location and the property and how it has progressed and transitioned over the years. I don't know that it could have been done any better. It has brought tremendous value in that area. And it's truly a gem of the east side of the city now. And so I think this is a great idea.
This is an area of the city we want to reinvest in.
This is it. This is a great way to do it.
Would the applicant like to speak first? Or would you like to try to talk us out of it? You've learned. You've learned. Would anyone from the public care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Council, final comments? Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. That brings us to first reading of ordinance number 2024-09, the 10th Amendment of the Master Development Agreement for Crystal Lake Plan Unit Development. An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the Fourth Amendment to the 10th Amendment, approving the Fourth Amendment to the 10th Amendment, it's a really thing there, to the Master Development Agreement for the Crystal Lake Plan Unit Development, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-09.
Second.
We have a motion, and fortunately, we got a second, so the item is open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do we have here?
Tim Berman, Community Development. Following is an administrative MDA amendment to the Lot 16 of the Crystal Lake Master Development Agreement. Then this property is currently owned by the City of Port Orange. The proposed amendment is to assign the uses that are allowed in the light industrial and the commercial industrial zoning districts on this piece of property. It has had the future land use of warehouse industrial for over 20 years, and we are just assigning the uses that typically go with that future land use on this piece of property. This is also the property that council had indicated a few weeks ago or a few months ago as being surplus and will be actively promoted for sale on the property. So we're just kind of cleaning up the land use and the zoning on the property and assign the uses that typically should go with that future land use. Staff is recommending approval and here for any questions.
Tim, I know we've put this aside as surplus, but frankly, even if we market it, I think we're still gonna have trouble finding a buyer considering most of it is wetland. Is that not the case?
There's just the kind of the borrow pit in the middle there then.
Yeah.
But basically around that is buildable land from what we've been looking into it.
Right in the middle where most people would probably wanna build something. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Council questions? There being none, would anyone here care to speak to the item?
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North. I would just like to say that, and repeat what I've said earlier, this is a surplus city property, and I think this is an opportunity for you to create affordable housing. And I think you should consider that instead of making it industrial, an opportunity to have some affordable housing in accordance with some of your other promises and programs. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know whether it's industrial or whether it's housing or whatever the case is. That's kind of this might be surplus forever if it's not, only a portion of it is usable one way or the other, but we'll see. Anyone else care to speak to the item? There being none, back to council. Comments? We can always rezone it if we change our mind, right? Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now open. Additional items. This is the part where we get to be mean to the city manager once a year and do his evaluation. What I would like to do is, first of all, ask all of you if you've had a chance to have an individual discussion with the city manager, Mr. Wayne Clark.
Yes, I have.
I'm going to, looks like everybody's nodding, and I'm going to assume that there's a consensus that we've all individually been able to have a discussion with him, which I think is beneficial. Wayne, ours was quite long, but I think we spent about 20 minutes talking about performance, and then we spent the next 2 hours about talking about the city itself, and I appreciate your vision and your ability to think from the 10,000-foot view. I'm going to run down each of you individually, first of all, before we get into anything that we may or may not want to do from a compensation standpoint. What I want each of us to do is have a chance to give the public feedback portion of it. And Reed, you have the wonderful job of getting to go first.
It's an honor. No, I already met with Wayne, as all of you did. It's an interesting position to evaluate somebody publicly, but you are a public servant, as am I, and so therefore, this is just part of it. When I met with Wayne, I laid out for him a lot of things I think that he did really well throughout the year. Overall, I scored him very high on a lot of areas, and brought up a few things that I noticed throughout the year, which those are between me and him as to just personal feelings. Overall, Wayne, I think that you've really impressed me the most with your ability to hire and put the right people in the right seats. I think we've seen some really, the new structure which was somewhat of a brainchild of yours, having an internal and external instead of having a true number two person. I think that's played out pretty well so far. I think a lot of your department heads in your tenure here that you've put in the seats, they've done a great job in their roles, and I think a lot of the staff that you've been involved in hiring have really done a great job. I do think also the morale I've noticed amongst employees seems to have risen a lot in the last year or two. And I don't know what all that stems from, but I think that's a lot of your efforts. I've had, employees come to me and tell me they feel like they have someone they can come talk to at the office and discuss things one-on-one with, and that they feel like they have somebody in there that has their back while at the same time also is doing the best they can for the council and for the citizens. I think you balance all that very well. I think that overall, man, I'm really glad you're here and want to have you around. I think Riverwalk's still a big thing that I know you're working hard on. I know there's, always that's a moving target, but it's something that, I think we're turning a corner on, as we talked about today. And so, yeah, man, overall, I think you're doing a great job. I really do. So.
Drew? That's hard to follow up.
Good.
Typically, I had my meeting and chat with Wayne, and I don't share word for word what I've done here, but the written copy will be available. I'll turn it over to Tracy. Again, exceeds expectations, are outstanding in every category, so very high marks, very happy with his performance. He's just done an outstanding job and exceeds all my expectations. We're very lucky to have him as our manager, and look forward as a city. This is my last one I get to do of these. I'll be done in November, so looking forward as a city to see where him and the future councils take us over the next 4, 8, 12 years. I've been up here, I'm in my 12th year, so this is the last one I get these to do. I will turn this hard copy into Tracy after the meeting. It'll become a public record, and if you want it, they'll be happy to send you a PDF and you can review what I've written and the comments. Great job, Wayne.
Tracy? Me and Wayne met on Monday, and probably little lengthy conversations between us. Being year one, first time when this came around, it was literally 2 months in, so wasn't a whole lot other than scrapping out, trying to figure things out. Between the two of us, we've had some bouts, some good stuff, and figuring out approaches of how his management style is, and I like it. Management style is awesome. The reality is, the last 2.5 years, he has had a great opportunity to put people in place to make his job easy. That means that he's doing a great job picking people. His staff is pretty amazing. I can't get up here and talk about staff being amazing all the time if he's not picking the right people. So his management style is right on for the city of Port Orange in my eyes today. The other thing is like Councilman Foley said, the morale. I wasn't here sitting in this position in the last previous years, but I did sit out there in the audience listening and learning and seeing how morale was with staff. Being a citizen here in Port Orange for 30 years, it's had some rocky road bumps. And it's nice to see and finally really say that when people come up to me and they start complaining, I smile and I go, has it been in the last 2 years? Let's not dredge up history. The last 2 years, things have excitedly changed inside the city of Port Orange. And it's from employees that were internally promoted, that saw the things and wanted to see things change, and you guided them. And I want to say thank you. It's been good. We got some projects in front of us that me and you have talked about, and those are coming. So we'll see how those pan out for us.
So, thank you. Scott?
Sounded like he's gonna keep his job at least till the next council meeting.
That's a good start.
All right. I saw this thing on social media the other day, and it was in response to, you know, as we all see on social media, everybody's got an opinion about everything, right? They don't always have the facts, they don't always put forth information that's factually correct, but everybody's got an opinion, and it said something to the effect, everybody's an expert until it's a time to prove it. And, you know, it's the city manager role in a municipal government like the city of Port Orange. It has a lot of moving parts. It is complex. As we saw when we went through the process to hire Wayne Clark, there was some interest, but there's not a lot of people that can sit in that seat and do what city managers do. And, you know, as the years now are starting to go by, I feel more and more confident about us making the right decision back then and making the decision to continue having Wayne serve as our city manager. And you know, to that, a lot of residents really, and they don't, you know, it's okay if it's not something that it weighs on their mind or they really need to know, but they don't truly understand the form of government we have in the city of Port Orange. You know, a lot of them think that the city council is a full-time council. We're here every day and we're involved, you know, up to our elbows in the day-to-day operations, and that is the farthest from the truth. It's a strong city manager form of government, and you have to have a strong city manager, and you have to have somebody who is patient, who has the right demeanor and has the right mindset and can build confidence in a team, and like everybody else who spoke about, putting the right people in the right positions. And there's also, not only does Wayne do that well, there's also never a finish line. Wayne and I talked the other night, and we for a couple of hours, like you talked about, Mayor, and that was one of the things, you know, we were talking about is there's never a finish. You never get to that finish line. You never get to a checkered flag because it's always moving. It's ever changing. The city grows. It redevelops. Things get overcome by events that weren't expected. Hopefully we don't have any of those this year. And so you have to be able to adapt, and Wayne does that very well. And we talked a little bit about that, and we talked about, you know, what does tomorrow look like, as well as you know, the next many years here in the city of Port Orange. And I think Wayne shares a lot of the same vision that I have for the city of Port Orange, and that I believe our residents have. And so to that, you know, I truly appreciate the work that Wayne does and his commitment that he puts in with the city. And he will be the first one to tell you, as a city manager, he continues to grow and develop. That's probably a never-ending thing, because things change, legislation changes. I mean, we were 5 minutes before we came into this meeting tonight, we were talking about an issue, and he reminded me of a legislative change. And so that impacts, you know, how we do things in the city of Port Orange. So there's a lot to keep track of, and having the team and the staff that Wayne has assembled is quite good, and we appreciate that, Wayne, and the job you do. My message to Wayne is just keep doing what you're doing. Keep the city moving in the direction. Be responsive. Be adaptable, which you have been, and look forward to another great year with you.
Good. Wayne, I appreciate the conversations that we've had, and don't get too swelled ahead, because we've still got a lot we want out of you. Even though it seems like all of us are very happy, Scott, to hit the nail on the head, this is a benchmark point. This is we're taking the temperature today, and one thing I appreciate is that you bring future vision. You're able to look 1, 3, 5, 10 years out, see where we want to be. You want to be able to, where do we want to be in 6 months? You've made staffing decisions. You're not afraid that have been very vital to this city. You are not afraid to admit when you make mistakes, and you go to correct them, because nobody gets it right all the time. And that's just reality. And that is a weakness that a lot of leaders have, is that when they do make mistakes, they try to sidestep it, hide it, and avoid it. And good leaders don't make a lot of mistakes, but when they do, they fix them. And you've done that as well. And that was something that was a lot of good things that have been said. That is certainly among them. The morale aspect of that is vital. I've said this 1,000 times up here, we are a customer service organization first and foremost. And if we don't have a happy, engaged workforce ready to take care of our citizens, then we're in trouble. And Wayne, you set the tone, and you put people in place to make sure that permeates down through the organization. And I greatly, greatly appreciate it, because that has got to be things that we put in place that will last beyond all of us, so to make sure that our citizens and their needs are taken care of. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of projects coming up, and first of all, and foremost, I want to just say thank you. I appreciate the ability to come and communicate with you frequently and often, both formally and informally, and I know that that's just between you and me, and you've got the job of doing that times 5. Not very many people have 5 bosses, not one, and being able to take public criticism and public praise is not easy, but you do it, and you do it well. And I think that that sums it up for all of us, that we seem to kind of like you at least for one more year. With that, and all 5 of us being able to give feedback before we talk compensation, or if we want to make any changes, I just want to say that it has been our practice as a city to do these reviews for our city manager and for our city attorney in May, so that as we go into budget season, we don't have to make any budget adjustments, and we, in the course of a budget that's already been created, we make these things implemented October 1st, and unfortunately they have to wait for that. We can do this any way you want to, but that's been our past practice, council. I kind of like it, because then we have accounted for this year, and we don't have to change anything that we've done this year, but we can plan accordingly for the future. Before I had that conversation, Wayne, I wanted to give you a opportunity to respond.
Thank all of you for the opportunity. We have a great city. Council's provided the vision, the resources to get there. There are 500 of us on the team, and our job is to make sure it stays that way, it stays great. I love the challenge of it. I always talk about if you like your job, you never really work a day, and so I don't count hours, I don't count time. The challenge, there's never a dull moment, there's never the same thing, it's not a boring routine, there's always something out there fun. If we solve one thing, we'll have another one and another opportunity. There's opportunities all over for this community. The best thing I can say is that I'm extremely fortunate to have the 500 people that are here helping make sure that we take care of it, that it's safe, that we have these great parks, we have these great opportunities, that we have reliable infrastructure, that this is a team that has embraced having us. They have us out there all the time. I've worked in places where you used to hope the manager never came. Like I've worked a couple jobs where I worked 4 or 5 years and never saw the manager leave and come over to our facilities. We get out there all the time. They invite us over when they're having cookouts or having meetings. So we do our best. I know you guys are going to go out and see the fire training facility. We've done that. We're out in the field offices as much as we can. The department heads, I try to, when I have regular meetings with them, the idea is to get us out of here and go out and see things out in the city. So we try to do that as much as we can, so that you stay hands-on, you stay connected. One of the things I think that we're most proud of is we put together something being responsive to our citizens. Not everything is a huge thing, not everything may be as big as a bond or a Riverwalk, but if you live in the neighborhood and it's your line that's leaking, or it's your pothole or your sidewalk, it's really important to you. So it was really important to us to create a group of people that are responsive, and not all the things that come in are the city's responsibility, but somebody that lives here isn't interested in being told, here's the phone number for some other agency, you call them. So one of the things that we've done is built really strong relationships with DOT, FP&L, the county, so that when the situations come up where it isn't legitimately a Port Orange thing to deal with, we call those people and bring them in and work together to solve our residents' problems, because those are invisible lines to them. They're not real lines, and so they're just looking for a solution. And I think that team has worked out really well, and all the departments have contributed to going out and the idea that they will go meet you in your backyard or go meet you at your business to talk about that problem, so that you don't have those misunderstandings that come from trying to talk to people over the internet or on the phone. So I appreciate everything that they've done to help this city be what it is, and look forward to many more years with all of you.
Thank you. With that, on the issue of compensation, whether it be salary or retirement or anything like that, I would entertain comments and possibly a motion.
Mayor, you know, when you look at the competitive list, you know, one of the things that we strive to do is keep all of our employees in our departments in that upper third throughout the county. And there's an updated list that's been provided to us, and I think we should be looking to stay consistent with that. And these things always change and fluctuate, and that needle is forever moving. But it would be my recommendation that council consider a 5% wage increase for the city manager. That doesn't put him, you know, I guess that would probably put him around the 5th in the county. Granted, there's quite a few city managers that have a lot of tenure with those cities, but I think that would be quite competitive for our city manager, and something that I think we can work within our budget for.
I think also, I appreciate that. I think that with that, I would also like council to consider maybe a small adjustment to the defined contribution cap, maybe raising that slightly from 10%. It's actually lower than the FRS equivalent. I would like to see that move a little bit more closer, a little bit more competitively, you know, whether it would be 13, 15%. If that's something that you all would want to do as well.
Absolutely.
But I'd certainly like to consider that. I see some head nodding.
I did the math over here, and that as far as a salary, if he's at 185, 250 right now, 5% is 194, 512.50. I was going to say, the mayor, as far as the retirement goes, the sheet that we were provided actually says we have some people in the city getting 12%, so I think 10 to 12 makes a lot of sense. That's right there where the market is
Moving
for
from
retirement.
10 to 12. Okay.
I'm good with that.
Seems like we have a consensus on both. I just need it in the form of a motion.
Well, hold on,
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Look out, Drew. He's swinging for the fences like he normally does. I feel it coming.
No, not swinging for the fences.
Okay.
So,
I just know your track record.
yeah, well, I, you know, with his performance, every year it gets better. I'm good with the 5% on the salary. That'll put him, like Scott said, right at 5th, including Daytona City Manager, which the salary for that is way up there, $292,000. So Wayne would move up to 5th, but I'd like to do the, you know, basically his retirement is just that contribution. And so I'd like to, you know, consider, put 5% towards that. 5 on the salary, 5 on that end.
%, salary 5%.
Tracy?
Yes, sir,
As
that-
far as our contribution,
Yes, yeah.
and allowing him.
Well, 5% additional, we do 10 right now, right? It's at
okay.
10%,
Five.
so we do, I'd like to do 5 more.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
I actually was looking to do more on salary, so whether you want to put it in salary or whether you want to put it in benefit,
What is the FRS
what's your plan?
contribution? Does anyone know?
It may vary by the city. Yeah.
Yeah, it varies by city, and that would be considered a senior management class. It's gotta be mid-teens or higher.
I mean, it seems like the 12% contribution is pretty competitive in our area in
Yeah.
terms of, you know, contributions to the retirement. So I mean, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with Reed's thought there, and then a 5% salary adjustment. I mean, I think that's moving the needle quite a bit.
If you want to do a little more salary, you could round him up to an even 195, which would be
you
five.
said round it up to 198, you said?
195.
198, you said?
5, which would be 5.2%. That would be even 195,000.
Good with that.
So we have consensus at 195 and an additional 2 to get to 12. That's our consensus. I have a few.
I'm at 5 on.
So
you'll support the
let
12,
me,
right?
let me,
Hold
let
on,
me just say the general
I'll support
consensus.
the 12, but I think he deserves 5.
I think he
legit
deserves a
think-
lot more than this, but
Yeah.
I also know that we have to pay for it too, so
I understand that.
it's all within the realm. What he deserves is a whole lot more than this. I can't give him what he deserves because I'm also doing that on the backs of the taxpayers, and I have to be respectful of that as well. I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the city manager's wage increase to $195,000 annual with an increase of 2% for a total of 12% into the 401.
Effective October 1st of this
Effective
year?
October 1st.
And that's your motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any other comments from council? The item is open. Would anyone here care to speak to it? There being none, final comments, council? 5%. Well, if it gets voted down, I'll be looking for another motion, but
Okay.
I don't think it will.
I know.
Call the roll.
Councilman
I got
Foley,
it.
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. I'd say Wayne's buying, but he can't do it until October. City attorney? Same format. Like feedback from you guys on the city attorney. Let's start on this, let's start with Drew this time.
Okay, same type of thing, my written hard copy will be available. We have an excellent city attorney. He shines in all aspects of his job. The ratings I gave him were exceeds or outstanding for every category. And so I am, the city is blessed to have him, as they are Wayne. Matt continues to work hard, and he does an outstanding job for us, so that'll be it. I will submit this to Tracy, and if anybody would like to see the written copy, it is available.
Okay. Why don't we go to Tracy?
So Matt and me met a couple weeks ago when I was in town, and one of the things that I don't think everybody gets privy to is some of the information that what the city attorney has on his plate a lot of times. Some of the cases and trials and I don't want to say tribulations of money, but it can get downright scary. To have the city attorney's budget, though, turn back in that he did a phenomenal job last year, and I don't think people know how good of a job he did, but I'll say it locally, that his budget was $100,000 back to the city. He wasn't over budget. He had $100,000 left in his budget that came back into the city. And to run a tight ship and have that type of cash flow to come back to the citizens, that's unheard of. Usually on the attorney side, it's we're shielding, we're protecting, we're doing everything, but that was a kudos times 10 on that one, Matt. And so yeah, it's trying to figure out what is right for the pay. That's going to be the difficult part.
Scott?
Yeah, you know, our role with the city attorney is quite a bit different than it is with the city manager. We, you know, no offense to Matt Jones and his team and his staff, but if I had to spend every day talking to the city attorney, those would be really bad. So, no offense, I like to hear from you, and I appreciate you being there when I need you. But to that, it's interesting because we don't see the city attorney as frequently as we do and spend as much time as we do with the city manager and his staff because of all of the moving parts in the operation of the city, the management of the city. But, you know, to digress for a second, not all of the cities and municipalities in Volusia County even have an in-house city attorney. Most of them don't. They farm all this stuff out, and I cannot imagine the hurdles and headaches of that with 5 council folks or 5 commissioners or 7 in some cases, trying to deal with, you know, a private law firm that's on a contract. And, you know, there's tremendous value in having an in-house city attorney with the responsiveness. And Attorney Jones is incredibly responsive. I don't really have any critiques for Attorney Jones. He has become seasoned. He's very experienced now. You know, it still seems like you and I were having a conversation up here on the dais just a couple of years ago, and you forget how long it's actually really been.
Yeah.
And he's been with the city a really long time. You know, I am more concerned with the fact that I think we have not kept that position as competitive in pay as it should be, and so we need to have that discussion tonight when everybody's done with their comments. But I concur with Tracy's comment. You know, one of the biggest things is he's not a city attorney who just says, I've got this much money and we're going to spend it all every year. He's mindful of that, which I truly appreciate. And he's very responsive. I guess that's probably the biggest thing, is him being available and responsive to all of us when we do need to have these conversations, and things occur, and things are going to happen. Things are going to occur. You know, there are going to be incidents and legal matters that have to be dealt with, even though we don't want to deal with those sometimes. And he's got the right demeanor and the mindset, and his interest is always in doing what's best for our taxpayers, and I truly appreciate that, for sure.
Okay. Reed?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Scott said. I think Matt's a very valuable asset. Again, Matt, sorry you're getting talked about, you know, to your face behind your back, but he's a valuable asset. He's a hometown guy. I think the thing that's impressed me most over the last year or two from his office is actually just his depth of knowledge, how quickly he has the answer I need top of mind. It's not even something he's sometimes a bit, well, let me look into that and get back to you, but usually he's already on it. You know, he already has the answer to the question that I'm going to ask. I think he does a good job. The budget thing is really, really impressive, bringing that forward, because it does, and I think city manager, staff, you know, I think council, we've rewarded that because we are not a council that believes use it or lose it. We've not been that policy with people that if you know you set the budget. I know other cities where if you don't spend every dollar, you lose your dollar the following year, and that is not how we've operated on this council. And I think that's I think Matt's rewarded us with that by continuing to bring money back that way. Overall, like I said, it's Scott's right. I'm glad I don't talk to the city attorney as much as I do the city manager. It would probably mean that we have other things going on, and the fact that I don't, I think it's one of those cases where no news is usually good news. So, but Matt, I do appreciate you being here, man. I think you are a huge asset to our community and to our residents. And I also agree with Scott on the compensation side. Mayor, you just said we try to keep everybody in the top third, and it's kind of alarming. You know, I was the one who did not vote for the race 2 years ago, and I voted last year because I had some numbers. This year, the numbers are scary, that he could leave us and go be a Volusia County deputy attorney and make more money than we're paying him. That is really scary to.
Did you have to tell him that out loud?
You know what? Yeah, I think I did. I think he's been held down for being a homer for a long time, and I think that maybe it's time we reward him for being a homer.
It's too long of a commute. He's not interested.
Reed, I would agree with you, because the salary survey, the comparisons that we were given, and again, several cities use, you know, not in that they hire it out, farm out the legal work, which I'm not interested in doing. And right now, I believe we got the finest attorney that's available, and he is the lowest paid attorney.
Let me give you my feedback. Maybe I can talk you all out of this.
I want to make sure we do something.
Are going private?
Well, I can't really talk you out of this because most of what has been said is along the line. Matt, I'm very pleased with the progress that we have made as a city and how you've played into that. I always talk about customer service. The city manager is in charge of line operations, and you have a staff function of supporting that. You're customer service to all the other departments, and we've made a lot of strides in being able to step up to that. One thing that I always do every year, I have I have monthly meetings with the city attorney, but quarterly or here and there we'll always talk about staffing within this department, but at least once a year we will talk about that as well, because I don't feel like I'm just reviewing you, I'm reviewing the performance of your entire department. So it's good to have the conversations that we had about your people, the things that they've done, their progress, how they're supporting you and how they're supporting the city. And I appreciate the fact that we're getting 100% commitment from you and your entire department, not just yourself, and that goes a long way with my argument for supporting, I think, what these guys are aiming at. So with that, we can talk about what you guys may or may not want to do compensation-wise, and that can include retirement as well as salary. So does anybody have any suggestions or recommendations? Drew, you've taken avid notes. I see you've been you're punching away at a calculator.
I've got a spreadsheet open.
You've got a spreadsheet open.
Hear from you.
Well, I'd start by saying I think we have to, I'd like to see us go to 12% on his retirement as well as what we just did with Wayne, because that's a 10 now. I think that's also something we need to consider here. So make sure
I'm good with that, but let's get to the other number, the salary.
I do, okay, well, I think we just settled the easy one because we're consistent with both positions that way as well.
I think one of the things that was brought up was dealing with Volusia County. They got 3 attorneys, deputy attorney, and all the way up to the full range county attorney, to match into a deputy attorney, so we don't have him staying inside Florida State Retirement and going over to county sheriff's office. By doing that, you go into 7.5%, and that brings it to 172. That's 7.5%, and then putting the 2% onto the Florida State Retirement.
I'm not sure 172 does it for me.
Me either.
I personally like to see at least 180. But
Drew, what's your spreadsheet
Yeah,
say?
Drew, I want to hear what Drew has to say. We have the low number now.
see, it's one thing if you have a
I'm
good.
good on the 2%. So here's my idea. The lowest paid, I don't know how long tenured he is, but the deputy county attorney is 173. I'd like to see 175 at least.
I'm going to maintain that the city of New Smyrna Beach should not be paying their attorney more than ours.
I'm good
That's
with
where
that.
I came up with 185. But more than that, it's one thing to give up a percentage raise on top of somebody who's making what they should be being paid. You know, so if you
Good
have a
point.
comparable salary
Good point.
scale and you're giving a percentage raise on top of that, the merit and the like gets earned. He's not there right now, so to me, it's like I'm going to throw the percentage out the window and get you to the dollar amount where you should be.
I think that comparably, I'd like to land somewhere between the 173 and the 182 between the 2 deputy, because that is a different, the county is a different thing than the city of Port Orange.
Absolutely.
And we have used that analogy many a times to discuss many things. So I think that it would be very wise for us to be somewhere between those 2 counties.
182.
The 2 deputies. So
182 would leave us slightly behind Ormond and New Smyrna, but on par at least.
So I think 178 might be a good number. That's basically $1,500 a month. It's 18,000. Do quick math. 178 I think is probably.
Yeah, here again, I'm not worried about the percentage.
I'm not even. I'm not even
but we gotta
talking
get the dollar
percentage.
amount
Yeah,
right.
I'm talking dollar amounts.
Yep. Yep.
I've got, and I could do that really quick because I have the spreadsheet ready. 178 would get him that'd be an 11.25% raise right now.
Which is inconsequential as far as just getting him where he needs to be. I don't know, Tracy, where do you think he should be?
Wow.
where he should be and where I want
Where-
payroll to be for the overall
Absolutely.
citizens is two different things. you
Mhm.
know.
Always.
This is a difficult thing. You sit here and you go, what he needs to be at is $180,000. To get him there, when people are fighting inflation and everything else, and these are big numbers, I'm not saying that he's not worth it. It's what does it do to sacrificing the dollar amounts to our citizens? You know, if we go in there at 11%, I think you said.
Yeah, it's 11.25. It's up there.
Well, take a look at this. He saves us $100,000 in his department,
Yes, he
and
does.
we're giving him 20 to get him to where he should be.
I mean, 172 was 7.5%, so you were comfortable with that.
Yep.
I'll throw something else out there. I asked Matt this question and had him email me something about just where he was student loan wise, because he has been held down for a while. I don't know if this is something you guys would have an appetite for, but he's got a little less than $5,000 remaining according to the information he gave me. If we can't agree on a salary number, maybe we can agree on a lower number, but a one-time to help him finish paying off that. We had programs for employees for a while. If they didn't have a degree, we would pay that tuition for them to get a degree. It wouldn't be, but he arrived with his degree, so it's slightly different.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I want to go down that road because it's a different road for everybody depending on where they got their education and how they did to get there. But it's an interesting thought.
It's just trying to think about how we might come to a compromise when this is all over.
Well, honestly, I mean, that $5,000 would be one-time thing. I'd just as soon put that into his salary, and
Make him bring you a receipt. I'm kidding.
no, he.
It was a
like I said,
joke.
Forget the student loan thing.
Let me do this. How do you feel about 180?
I'm there.
How do you feel about 180?
I think 180 is where we need to be. That still keeps him, he's still the lowest, paid city attorney in Volusia County at 180.
How do
But
you
I
feel
think
about
that's-
180?
I think that's the area where it needs to be, quite
Tracy?
honestly.
I was at 178. So what's two more at that point to get him to still be the lowest paid city attorney is wild.
I think he gives us value well beyond 180, but at the same time, we have to be respectful of the taxpayers who are paying it.
That's why I can't go.
Also, would like to note, New Smyrna's attorney gets a 22% contribution.
Well, and
We're only
also
going-
these
we're only
numbers
going
are
to 12.
these
so-
numbers are also this year. I mean, they'll probably be.
Oh, they're
raises.
gonna change.
Yeah,
They're gonna
He's
change
probably
clearly.
still gonna fall behind.
You guys will have a very interesting conversation next year.
Next May.
Thanks, Tom.
In the meantime, it's this May, and I'd like to entertain some sort of motion.
I'll make a motion that we increase the city attorney's salary to 180 and increase his defined contribution plan by 2% to 12%.
Effective October 1st?
Effective October 1st.
I will second that.
We have a motion, and a second on the floor. Council comments? There being none, would anyone here care to speak to
Worth
it?
every penny.
There being none, back to us. Final
I'd
comments?
say this, Matt. You should feel very good about this because it's earned. We would not be having this conversation, I don't think, if it was not for all of the work you've put in. It's not just this
if
is
it
more.
wasn't earned, we wouldn't
this
be
is
having
more
this
than
conversation.
This is more than market. This is merit, and I think you should be very proud of that.
And I think one thing to take in total of that is, on $100,000 saved, we're gonna get blasted either way for this one.
We are gonna get blasted.
Yeah, this one's.
Because people don't see these numbers like we see up here of everybody else what they're making.
I wish those numbers were on the TV so people
I
could
can
see.
care less about making market wages unless we're getting the merit.
Has he done 100,000 2 years in a row?
Yeah.
Was it 2 years in?
2 years in a row, 6 figures he's brought back.
So it's already saved us the salary back.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Grubbs?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 5-0. That was plenty awkward and painful. Mr. Jones, do you have any comments?
Just briefly, I just want to thank the 5 people up there in the office that keep everything going. I know there's
Yeah.
500 employees on the other side, but there's only 6 of us that are constantly trying to keep everything moving. And, I think a lot of that money coming back is really a product of their hard work. But also the manager's team, some of that was also part of, getting the morale turned around and fixing some issues that he's taking care of on that side too. So I think that actually works with us as well. But I wanted to thank those 5 employees of mine that make me look good. So
Okay.
thank you.
They do a damn good job of it.
With that, council committee reports, Fire Pension Board, Councilman Foley.
I actually have a pretty lengthy report here. Pretty exciting. The plan year to date is up 14.8%, $5.8 million.
Outstanding.
Which is more than the S&P and more than the NASDAQ. That's the first quarter that I could find where that occurred, which is pretty exciting there. City contribution is actually going down from 78% down to 74%. But it is important to note that part of the reason that percentage is coming down is because it's a percentage of payroll, and payroll has gone up due to all the wage increases that we've given, which have affected the plan's actuarial funding. I should have more state funding coming in because of that. It's also back to over 70% funded, which is awesome. And during the meeting, we agreed 4-0 to engage with James Moore, who's going to be auditing the payroll systems. So that was something that the board agreed to do.
Nice.
I just want to say thank you to my fellow board members on that board. And Frank, who actually manages the plan. There's been a lot of hard work put in by everybody, and I think that we saw some of the results of that this quarter, and I appreciate all of their efforts, sincerely. I really do.
Yeah, I would ask that on behalf of the entire council, that at the next meeting that you express our gratitude in what, I don't want to misspeak, but this is a great trend. They're trending in the right direction. They're managing the investments. They're looking for those gains to help the solvability of the pension plan, and I so look forward to us getting that pension plan over that 80% mark that we're all looking for, and so that we can start evaluating the ability to maybe even improve the benefits in that plan. So, it's great when they're taking advantage of market opportunities as best as possible, and then minimizing the losses in those other times, and that's really what we need to get it there. So
Oh yeah, no.
it's good. It's
I'm
really
really,
good to hear.
I'm eager to see the next meeting. I really am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilman Foley, what is their assumed rate of return?
It's
now?
7.25 right now. We
Okay,
we
so-
left it there at 7.25.
So almost, not quite double, but that's a heck of a good return.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Good stuff.
Good. Police Pension Board, Councilman Bastian.
That would be me. Similar good news. So, year to date, 13.53 net of fees. And as of March 31st, the plan was valued at $63,971,000 and change. And as of May 17th, April was a little bit of a rough month, but as of May 17th, it's gone up an additional 400,000. That it's sitting at 64,335,000. So, and the plan is 87.29% funded. So it continues to trend in the right direction. Things are going good over there, and the investment managers and all the people we have working on that plan have done a really good job, and continues to show. And I mean, these are very good numbers for that plan, so it's good news.
Okay.
For sure.
Hard House, Councilman Grubbs.
I missed the last meeting. I was overseas during their monthly meeting. Just a follow-up phone call with them is they're got 2 projects that they're trying to come to council with later on.
Okay.
One is dealing with the building and murals, and then we keep toying with the Down Under projects for the columns until we can get projects going underneath it. So things are coming about.
Okay.
First Step Shelter, that would be me. I was elected the vice chair of the board of directors for First Step Shelter, and actually had to run a meeting this month, but a couple of things that I came away with over the course of time since the shelter opened almost 4 years ago. We have put 16 people from City of Port Orange through the shelter and into homes through the program. But even greater than that, the Safe Zone has only been open about 2.5 years. The City of Port Orange and POPD has put 81 people into the Safe Zone. So that, as far as being Pottinger compliant, that's terrific. As far as helping people, that's absolutely terrific. So I would maintain that we're getting great value for the dollars that we're spending, and certainly knowing that we're getting more value, and when we get into budget discussions, I'll be asking us to consider spending a little more, because when we allocated that dollar amount originally, there was no Safe Zone, and 4 or 5 years ago, you know, costs of things have gone up a little bit since. So we got to make sure that we're taking care of maintaining our obligation to make sure that we're getting the benefit from that. Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. Last week we had a job fair in conjunction with the Chamber at the Rec. That was a fantastic event. Got a couple things coming up, including ribbon cutting tomorrow for Pixie Dust Accounting, and on the 30th, Coffee and Connections is coming up with the Chamber as well. Look forward to having conversations with them about the things to come. And Roundtable of Elected Officials met last week. We had a report from the Hospitality and Tourism, Lori Campbell Baker from Halifax Ad Authority, Debbie Mills from Southeast Volusia Ad Authority, our person, Georgia Turner, the West Volusia Tourism Bureau, Lynn Flanders from the Ocean Center, and Cirrus Callum, the Aviation and Economic Services Department Director for Volusia County. And we also had Jim Judge and Clint Meacham talk to us about the county's hurricane prep for the year. So that was the Roundtable of Elected Officials. Before I conclude, Wayne, did you have anything that you wanted to add, including introducing somebody?
You want me to introduce our new HR director?
Oh, gee, that might be a great idea.
Michelle, do you want to come up? Michelle's been with us for about a month now. I'm notoriously bad at time, so it feels like about a year or so that she's been here, but it's been a short period of time. A very positive impact. Do you want to give them a little bit of background on yourself?
Yes, I came from Vero Beach, where I was the recent Director of Employee and Labor Relations for the school board. Been there about 4.5, 5 years. I spent about 7 months back in Michigan helping my mother out from some surgery and whatnot, and here I am in Port Orange. So I am originally from Michigan, Michigan State graduate, twice, and I'm really excited to be here serving the city. I have a lot to learn about the city side of things, and Wayne and many of the other staff have been helping me learn that stuff. But I'm really excited to revitalize the HR function. I've been partnering a lot with Matt, who is also helping me out, learning and getting used to everything. So it's a great experience. I'm really so impressed with the city, what I see and the enthusiasm going on with the staff. So I'm really excited to serve you here and get to know you better.
And she's given you the humble description. So just in a few weeks, she has actually been able, like a lot of us had struggled with Workday to try to find information and pull it out. She showed up at the last meeting that I had with her with like 18 charts with tons of data on various personnel-related trends. So in just a real short period of time, she has upped our game on numbers and trends in order to, through a variety of things, whether it's going to be risk management to lower our costs to the community, reduce turnover, do a better job of hiring. So there's a whole lot of professional positives in a really short period of time, but I couldn't believe somebody showed up in that short period of time with that much information and that much depth and started going through numbers, personnel by personnel. And that's a very quick absorption of a lot of stuff.
Well, you can't fix
Michelle,
it if you don't count it.
You're already raising the bar for yourself.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm gonna have to live up to that.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to come with more info. But yes, I mean, I feel like you can't improve anything unless you know what it is and how much and what it looks like, and can't move the needle unless you're counting the important stuff. So
You gotta know where you are to know where you're going.
that's exactly right.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Appreciate you.
When you went back to Michigan for, what, 7 or 8 months?
Uh-huh.
Did you go into shock with the weather? How did your body handle that?
Not
'Cause
well.
If you were there 7 months, you saw some cold.
That's right, yeah. I got through a mild winter mercifully.
Okay.
We didn't have much snow up there this year, but yes, it was certainly cold, and my 2 cats were not enthralled with this idea, so.
Well, welcome to Port Orange.
Thank you so much. It's a lovely city.
Any other business come before us this evening?
Thank you.
There being none, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.